So in my hands, I have the Galaxy S21 FE. Now, this device was rumored not to come out, and well, it's finally here, but in 2022, this is Samsung's latest fan edition device. Now, let's see how it stacks up against the S20 FE, and let's see if it's actually worth it. Hey guys, Thunder E here, and thank you for joining me in this video. We finally have the Galaxy S21 FE, and let's take a look at this device closely because it's got a very different build from the S20 FE from technically 2 years ago. Now, it's got a styling that looks and reminds you of the Galaxy S21 with the way the camera notch is at the back, which is pretty nice, but it's got this matte black finish, if you will, this matte finish at the back. It actually comes in 4 colors. We have olive, white, graphite, and of course purple. And I do like the graphite look because it kind of shades in between charcoal and a bit of gray as well. Now, the overall build is really nice, feels very comfortable in your hands. The device is 6.42 inches in terms of the screen size, which is different from the Galaxy S20 FE, which is 6.5 inches. When you stack both them next to each other, you can actually see the S20 FE is noticeably taller than the S21 FE. Now, in terms of the cameras, you're looking at similar camera housings but with improvements. The S21 FE has a 12, 12, and an 8. An improved night mode, and then you also have a 4500 milliamp battery with this device. Comes in 2 size variants for the S21 FE, 6 gigabytes of RAM with 128 gigabytes of storage, and 8 gigabytes of RAM with 256 gigabytes of storage. Now, when we look at the displays of this device, we can see that it does have a 6.42 inch display that is Full HD Plus, and is also a Super AMOLED 2X display. Not sure what that means, but from Samsung's point of view, it's a better display than we had with the S20 FE, and it kind of shows. It's really nice. The color textures look just a little bit better, if you will, and you can see the hole punches are in the same location. We do have a 32 megapixel camera in the front. So I've stated specs that are similar and slightly different with both devices. When it comes to battery size, I mentioned they're both the same. When it comes to charging, you have the same charging options. Now, here are some things that are a little bit different. So if I go ahead and reach out to the cases, or sorry, actually the packaging for both devices, they're very different in size. The S20 FE came with a full-size package, which means you got a charger in the box with the S20 FE, while the S21 FE here has no charger in the box and only comes with a USB Type-C cable. So how times have changed, and that's how it actually stacks up. The packagings do look the same from these devices. We've stated all those specs out there. How do they compare in terms of different features? Let's start off with audio and speakers, because this is where I was really stunned with what Samsung has done with the S21 FE. But how about you guys take a quick listen? I mean, honestly, the S21 FE just sounded better, louder, and clearer, which is a huge jump from the S20 FE. And again, it helps a lot of people if you're listening to music, if you're gaming on your device, which is something, of course, a lot of people will be doing. Now, in terms of processors, though, we're looking at an upgrade from the S20 FE, which had the Snapdragon 865, which was a nice solid processor, but we do have the Snapdragon 888 on the S21 FE. And when we look at the games that we can play on them, we'll start off with our very first game, of course, which is Call of Duty Mobile, which runs well on both devices. We're looking at a solid 60 frames per second, which is something the 865 could do quite well. And when we go over to PUBG Mobile, we also see the same thing with Smooth Extreme for both devices in terms of these settings, runs at 60 frames per second. And then we move to Ultra HD Ultra for both the S21 FE and the Galaxy S20 FE. We also got 40 frames per second. So that's all well and good. Now, The main test here, of course, is Genshin Impact. Now, the S20 FE playing Genshin Impact, we got actually about 40 frames per second for a 30-minute gameplay. And actually, it dropped down to about, it started off at 49 when we were playing at the max settings. And then it dropped down to about 42 within the first 10 minutes. And then it stayed at 42 to 40 in that range in basically 30 minutes of gameplay. Now with the S21 FE, this is where I was truly stunned by how its performance actually played out. We got 60 frames per second for a full 30 minutes of gameplay. It continued without any issues whatsoever. Slowdowns were not noticeable. It was just a solid gaming experience, which is something great to see and gives me a lot of hope for the Galaxy S22 series once it comes out. Now you're saying, okay, that's pretty cool, but what about temperature and heat? Because we all know that, look, Snapdragon AAA devices ran really hot, and it does run warm. I would say in terms of temperatures, we got about 109, 110 degrees throughout our gaming session. So that's something to take note, while the S20 FE definitely ran cooler. Now, those are great features to look at and great things to see, and it kind of brings to the point that the S21 FE is a better device. But what about the camera? Because that's one of the things that helped the S20 FE. It was a solid package for everything the S20 provided at a cheaper price point. Well, the cameras are improved. Samsung's come out and improved night mode, but instead of me boring you, how about you take a look at some of the camera videos and samples yourself. Sample of the front-facing camera shooting at 4K 60. I've got the S21 FE on my left, the S20 FE on my right. Just looking at the screens, they look completely different. Better colors in the S21 FE though. Definitely some noticeable improvements, but you guys tell me, what do you think? Who has the better camera? Is it pretty much the same, or are they improvements with the S21 FE? Now, I think overall, when a consumer looks at it, you're gonna go, wow, this is quite an interesting price point, because it comes in, the S21 FE comes in at $700, which is kind of similar to where it launched with the S20 FE, but because this is coming out in 2022, I expected a lower price point. Right now, you can pick up an S20 FE from Amazon for about $524. Through carriers, you can pick it up from a cheaper price point, as well as also through Samsung. Now, I definitely know that Samsung will be having some awesome trading offers for the S21 FE once it launches on January 11th, but we'll have to wait and see. I do know that Verizon is offering up to $700 trading for the S21 FE, so which means you can get the phone for basically $0 down if you trade in something that's comparable. So I'm gonna ask this question for you here right at the end is, do you think the S21 FE is a worthy upgrade at its price point over the S20 FE? And are you going to be picking one up? If you are, leave your thoughts down below and your comments. If you guys want to pick up any of the devices, the S20 FE, the S21 FE, use the links down below. And this is Thunder E saying thank you, and always enjoy entertainment.